everyone. I'm Kathleen, and tonight Larry Evans and I are here with Kirsten Ehlert. Hey, Kirsten.
Hello. So good to be talking with you both.
How's it going?
Same. Thank you so much for doing this.
Good. I love that we're getting our Zoom meeting in. That's the new normal now.
I know. That's how I decide what to wear. Do I have a Zoom today, or can I just, lounge around? But
I have a feeling like 10 years from now, we'll look back and go, oh yeah, that stuff called Zoom. I forgot all about that. It's like it'll be like MySpace.
That's right.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, Kirsten, I feel like, did you take classes at RLT?
I did. So yeah, I had started, got the acting bug when I was in middle school, and had started with Applause Carry You Theater in Cary when they were in their very first season. And then after doing a show or two there, I was like, oh, hey, I really like this, and ended up doing a lot of classes at Raleigh Little Theater, and then went on to be a TA. And really feel like I grew up at that theater.
And at Applause, you worked with Linda, right? Linda O'Day Young?
I did, yeah. So that was actually the first time I met her was doing Peter Pan over there.
And I remember.
Yeah.
I worked on Peter Pan.
You did?
No, I was dating the woman who did costumes.
No way.
And I remember sewing gluing leaves on costumes.
Oh my gosh! Well, maybe you made Kirsten's costume.
Right.
There you go. See that? It's all connected. Well, I do remember that story. Linda talked so highly of you and that whole adventure. She loved that whole adventure at Applause. But you were in, and the three of us worked together on The Emperor's New Clothes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of fun. And that was the first show I ever directed at Raleigh Little Theater.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah. And I had met you before, Kathleen.
Yes.
That was my first time meeting you, Larry. And it's been fun to keep in touch over the years and end up in the same shows once in a while.
And I look back and remember you at at that age. It's like, she hasn't aged one bit.
I know.
Oh, stop it.
I know. Well, I remember when we recently did The Perfect Wedding for Peak Ensemble Players, Mark didn't really know you, my husband, and he would say to me, she is so professional. And I'm like, she's been that way since she was 18. Okay, so middle school, acting bug.
Yes.
I love it. What middle school did you go to?
I went to Dillard Drive Middle School in Cary.
Yeah.
And we had just moved, my family had just moved from Wisconsin, and I was so shy. I still am, but I was so shy and was so worried about making friends and how to fit in, and somehow stumbled upon Applause Carry You Theater and was like, okay, this will be good for my self-confidence, and didn't realize at the time that it would turn into this lifelong artistic passion.
I love it. I love it.
So what was the first show you were in? Not really counting, I guess Applause. Is Peter Pan the first show you were officially in?
No. So I had the chance to do Applause's very first production, which was Charlotte's Web, and directed by Deb Royals, who's back in the area and doing all kinds of theater. And that experience was wonderful and magical and fun in that I got to meet so many people who were a little quirky and either really outgoing or really introverted like me. And so from a social standpoint, it was so much fun. But really what's been so cool about that particular script of Charlotte's Web is it has found its way back into my life over the years since then. And there's been moments of revisiting it. So I have directed that show with middle schoolers and even had the chance to go back. Applause a year or two ago was celebrating an anniversary. And so for that anniversary season, they did Charlotte's Web again. And so got the chance to go in and watch the rehearsal process and see the kids in action. So that was really special.
That is so cool. That is so cool. So did you have a mentor when you were starting out? Or?
Well, so it's funny you mention Linda O'Day Young, because I've say probably her. Even though I met her a couple of years into my acting, she really pushed me in a way that I don't know that I had experienced with other directors up until that point. So there was always a kindness and a respect, but a push to be greater and better and to really dive into the truth of acting. And so that, I feel like, was when I really started to appreciate acting as a craft and as an art form, was working with Linda. And she truly, between her and Kathleen Rudolph, I feel like you two really inspired me to get into the field of arts education. So seeing you all as directors, but also as educators, has just been so meaningful to me.
Nice. Oh, I love that. I love that. Do you remember any great advice she gave you?
Yes, this is very important, and I love it, and it has stuck with me over the decades. And that is, you got to make sure, you both have probably heard this from Linda, you got to make sure that every character you play has a distinct laugh. That Linda would get so mad when a character or when an actor would have the same laugh for every character they played. And that just stuck with me as just such wonderful advice when you're creating a character.
What I remember about Linda, she said, always cherish the stage.
Oh.
We're so lucky to be on stage. Cherish those moments. And I remember that all the time.
She even, I'm just thinking of it now, she had a tradition that I hope she's okay with me continuing on when I direct shows with students. And that is on the final night or the final production of a show to take hands with your ensemble mates and remember to, as you're saying the lines, that you're saying them for the last time, and then those words go up into the air and wait there magically for the next production of that show. And just the imagery of that is so beautiful and such a nice way to close a theater experience that I've kept up that tradition.
Oh, I love that. I'm crying over here.
Yeah.
That's great.
Kirsten, do you have a favorite theater actor or actress or film actress or actress?
This is a tricky one for me because there are just so many great ones that I admire and respect. I think one that really stands out to me that I was just so taken aback by was I got to see Adam Driver in a show on Broadway a couple of years ago called Burn This. And I've seen Adam Driver in film work and enjoy him. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, so like wasn't super familiar with his work in Star Wars, but went into it with no expectation whatsoever. And the skill, just the technical skill he had on stage was unlike anything I had ever seen before. His command of the language and just the artistic choices he made were so unique, and just I've never seen another performer make the choices he made that seemed very justified in the character and in the text, but were just so creative and impactful.
Wow. He has to play Stanley in Streetcar. He'd be
God,
he'd be awesome.
Yeah.
If he's listening, Stanley, Adam, if you're listening.
Do you have a worst audition story you would like to share with us?
I mean, fortunately, I don't think I've had too many traumatic experiences, but I, as an adult, decided, okay, I've done this theater thing. I want to check out what this film acting is all about. And I got myself an agent and was like, getting started trying to figure out what this looks like. And, when I had first met with the agent, she said, you're a little over the top. You definitely are from a theater background. You got to scale it back. You got to tone it down. So one of my very first film auditions was for something where my character that I was auditioning for was a protester, like a protester on the street, chanting and raging at somebody. I can't remember who. And I go into the audition and I remember remembering, don't overdo it, Kirsten. Don't let your theater background come out. You're a film actor now. And I think I said the line so quietly and with no expression on my face that the agent, fortunately, who was filming was like, wait, you're a protester. You have to actually like emote, like raise your voice, do it, use that theater background. So that was just kind of like an embarrassing, like, oh, this is tricky to find this balance.
It is, yes.
Those type of parts are tough because you don't want to pull focus, and it's so easy when I look at someone a feature player, they'll push too hard, and it's like, okay, I noticed you.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have what is your favorite role? Do you have a favorite performance you could talk about?
Oh man, there are so many wonderful experiences, but one that really stands out to me was the experience of playing Abigail in The Crucible at Raleigh
Yeah.
Little Theater.
That was
Um,
so great.
that was such a fun, maybe isn't the right adjective, but such a wonderful experience because it was one of my first opportunities to get to play a little bit of a villain or an
Right.
antagonist. And so that alone was exciting to kind of to try something a little different and outside of my comfort zone. But really, it was the whole show that I feel like just it was so powerful. The script, of course, is beautiful, but the ensemble, the group of actors for that production, were just so willing to take risks on stage in a way that was respectful and welcoming of everybody involved, and it just felt like a very warm environment to tackle really difficult material. And it just was a wonderful experience for that reason too.
Wow.
I still remember when your character just got really upset. I said, "Oh my God, I've never seen her play a part like this. This is great." Is there a role you've always wanted to play?
Well, so I feel like there's so many, it's hard to just pigeonhole one or two to pick from. But starting out acting would kind of get pigeonholed in the ingenue role. So now that I'm older and, getting to play antagonists and trying out different kinds of characters, I think what I'm most looking forward to is some of the roles that I can hopefully grow into in the next couple of decades. So like one that I would be a dream role would be to play Sister Aloysius in Doubt. I remember reading that play in college and thinking, the younger nun, she would be so much fun to play. I would love to play her. But now the more I've seen that production and read the script more in adulthood, the younger nun is a fine character, but man, Sister Aloysius is such a meaty role that just a character who really has to grapple with their own shortcomings and predispositions and beliefs, and really goes through an inner journey as well as an outer one. And so that would just be a dream someday.
I can see that. Yeah.
That's great. So when you're on stage, what type of actor do you hope that is there with you in your scene?
I tend to be more of an actor who approaches the work from the inside out, thinking through and maybe overthinking things sometimes, and developing the character from more of a cerebral standpoint first. And so I think what's really exciting to me is to work with people who work in the opposite way, where maybe they are risky with their physical choices from the get-go, or are just willing to take big, bold risks artistically. I was lucky enough to have an audition a couple years ago where my two scene partners in this audition, who I didn't know that well, were those type of performers. And it was a dream to feel in that audition and in that situation that I was not stuck in my head, because I was so lucky to be working with people who were listening and responding, but also making big, bold choices, and choices that didn't draw focus from anyone else, but really allowed for listening and collaborating. And it was almost like an invitation. I'm going to make a big choice. Join me. Come make a big choice with me. And
that's so
exciting and inspiring to me.
Wow. Well, it's funny that you say that today, because I had a 55 and older class on Zoom today. And I paired them up and gave them neutral scenes. And these, are people that are just dabbling in what is theater, so we talked all about neutral scenes. I put them in breakout rooms, and then they each did those neutral scenes. And it was very funny, and they made wonderful choices. But one man reinforced at the end how he reinforced his scene partner, who, as soon as they shared it, made such big choices that it made it easier for him to get into his role, because he knew where she was going. And he was like, whoa, I'm not holding back. So it was exactly what you're saying. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Wow.
We all have great moments on stage. Could you tell us one of your great moments?
It's funny to circle back to Peter Pan when I was a freshman in high school, because the role was fun, and getting to fly on stage with a pulley system. Cool experience. Yeah. But I remember there being a moment in tech rehearsals, flying on stage, and of course, being minors, the people who were in charge of our pulleys were family members who had signed off to agree to do this. And to look over off stage in the wings to see my little petite mother, who had only ever seen plays that I was in, didn't really get this whole theater thing, to see her committing physically and emotionally and her time to do something to support me. And for her to, I hope, recognize just the work that goes into theater and the appreciation that I have for it, and for her to be a part of that experience and to share that experience with somebody who would never choose to put themselves on stage in an acting position, was really just a special bonding opportunity that was just really unexpected and wonderful.
Wow. Okay, I'm crying again.
Is there a quick question? Is there a moment where you said, okay, I'm going to do this the rest of my life?
Oh, that's a great question. It feel like once that acting bug strikes, I don't remember ever really doubting that it would be a part of the rest of my life in some way or other. As soon as I had done it.
Right.
Yeah.
What is the funniest thing that ever went wrong on stage?
Well, so for those of you who know Dr. Cherry, he loves to tell this story, and it makes me blush every time. He and I were in a show at Raleigh Little Theater way back when I was in college, and written by a North Carolina playwright. And one of the performances, the playwright was in attendance at the show. Super cool, super exciting. So there was a scene where my character had to walk or hurry down a couple of steps and run across the stage. And naturally, being the very suave person that I am, I somehow caught the back of my heel on the step and face planted on the stage, on my knees, on my hands. There was no recovering. There's no way to really not acknowledge that this happened. And in all of this, Dr. Cherry, in character, comes up and in a Southern accent says, "Darling, let me help you up. You've had a long night." And we just proceeded from there. But it was mortifying. And in the talk back afterwards, the playwright, of course, had to mention it, because how do you not acknowledge when an actor face plants on stage? But it was a reminder that things don't always go as planned on stage. And you have to just keep going.
Wow.
Now, Kirsten, if you couldn't be an actress, and I know you also teach and direct, what's another thing you'd want to do in the theater profession?
So something that has always intrigued me, but I've never had a chance to explore too much, is puppetry. And this year, with having to work from home and pick up extra jobs, I had gotten my ESL teaching certification and have been teaching English as a second language online. So a lot of drama and acting, kind of relates to that. And there's a lot of nice tie-ins with dialogue and conversational practice that can be made. And I was thinking, puppets would be a lot of fun to do with this. So that has been my one of my goals for earlier in the year was to figure out how to make a Muppet style puppet. And so that has just been my COVID year creative release, is learning how to make Muppet puppets. And so that's been a lot of fun. So I've always just loved puppetry, and I love the different styles.
That's great.
Puppetry. Yeah.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
Now, if you could go back in time and talk to your younger self, what advice would you tell yourself about theater and acting? And
oh, there's so much. I think the biggest thing, though, like we had just talked about, I feel like as soon as I started acting, I knew this is something I want to continue pursuing for the long term. And I think I had such a tendency to get so narrow focused in, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm going to spend all my free time as a teenager and a lot of my time in adulthood doing this and honing this craft and doing every play, every audition I can. And I think if I could, I would go back and tell my younger self to make sure to live life and experience as much around you as possible outside of theater too, because ultimately that's what life is about, is experiences. But those those life experiences, the beautiful, wonderful, positive ones, and the really harsh and difficult and painful ones have all helped me grow as a person, but I think as a performer too. I think those rich life experiences are what allow us to grow and develop our craft as actors.
Right.
And so I think that's the advice I would give.
Right.
I've said this before when I'm working on a part, I always find something to relate it to. I'll be watching a TV show and say, oh, wow, this kind of reminds me of what my character's going through.
Wow.
Now, what's the first thing you want to do after we get over this pandemic?
Oh, I mean, I can't be alone in this, so I'm sure this is not a very creative answer. I want to get up and travel the world. I've always loved travel, but man, I can't wait to get out and check out a new city or return to a favorite city, and maybe New York, maybe Washington, D.C.
Right.
Love to go abroad, but just get out there and see the world.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because we all, not all, oh yeah, I'll come and visit, or yeah, I'll do this. And now we're kind of slapped in the face, like you should have done it when you said, because now you have a year of not doing anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I know. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much. This has been just so much fun. It was like a little walk down memory lane.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it was so great to see you again. And good luck with with everything you're doing. You have a new position now. So
yes.
exciting.
So as we navigate the future and what our world looks like hopefully soon post-COVID, the Arts Center in Carrboro is gearing up to offer a lot of awesome visual and performing arts classes. And so we're so excited to hopefully soon get kids back in the building, learning and creating.
Definitely.
I have fond memories at the Carrboro Arts Center, and I really love that place.
Yeah, it's a fantastic organization.
Right.
Yeah.
Larry and Kathleen, thank you both
Oh,
so
thank you.
much for
This
taking
was
the time
great.
to talk to me.
Oh, our pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, Larry. All right,
Thank
we'll
you.
see you soon, hopefully
Bye.
in person.
Yes. Thank you. Stay safe.
Bye.